Hello and welcome back to another show From the Field. We have with me Zenu here. I believe that he prefers to go by Zen just by default. So yeah, he's a relatively new. You've been there for about 6 months, right? Or is it more than a year?
Yeah, more than 6 months, but yeah, approximately 1 year. Glad to meet
Fun
everyone.
time within that window. Awesome. And they are here to talk about efficient security information and event management, which is probably just the first time I've really seen this myself. I've kind of come across it in bits and pieces, but not as a holistic little journey. So you're going to take us through what is it, the journey for it, show us a little demo, and then some thoughts that you've had over over the last 6 months as you've been helping a customer through it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Casey.
Awesome. Yeah, and other than that, I'm just dealing with real world problems. I'm pretty sure my hot water cylinder is broken, so I will probably go deal with that directly after this. So, in the meantime, over to you, Zen, and I feel to do yourself a quick intro and all that
Yep.
jazz.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and hope you enjoyed the lunch and also watching our Twitch live. I'm the senior solutions architect with AWS. I look after all the digital native business and ISV customer here in New Zealand. Really glad to be here today to give you everybody an overview of what is the efficient journey for building the SIEM or security incident management solution on AWS. But it's not limited to just the technology. We cover all of the aspects from people to process in this session. And we have a little tiny bit demo at the end. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started.
And also to comment, people tend to be the weakest link within security anyway. So it's pretty good
Yes,
it covers it.
yes, absolutely. That's correct. Because almost every time, 100% of the time, while we are doing architect review, when talking to the customer about security aspect, we all know security is a top priority at AWS. So every time I'm talking to the customer, they say, "Okay, do you think we should have a SIEM?" So that's the every time in the story, the conversation will end with, "Do I have to have a SIEM?" But the answer is absolutely yes. But once you have the SIEM, is it just at the end of the game, or it's just the beginning of the new journey? That's a good conversation that hopefully in today's session we can peek through what's a typical journey. It's not just a technical implementation on AWS, but how the adoption journey gonna look like for your team and for your security practices. Hope everyone enjoy that. So
And
here
if any of
is
our viewers have their own opinions and views on the matter, it'd be awesome for you to share them because I'm always kind of interested in what the industry is doing, where they are seeing it. Because I know that I myself am not I don't know everything, so I always like getting that other external opinion on the matter.
yes, definitely. In the study, you can see here the agenda. We talk about what is the current SIEM solution on AWS, and we'll do a quick demo of that. But the majority of the part we will cover here is SIEM adoption journey. In this journey, we will share some of our real life experience, how a journey gonna look like from beginning to the end, and how the customer adopt the SIEM as a successful implementation, as well as increase their security posture as a long run instead of just during that implementation period. Yes, of course, this is a lifetime experience, and we'll just share that with all of you guys. And yeah, if you want to share us with your story, you're more than welcome to chat with us. We will definitely be glad to hear that your feedback of our services and your journey of the SIEM. Thanks, Casey. Okay, let's move on quickly for to just make sure everyone is on the same page. What is the SIEM, the security incident and event management? By the definition, it's a field that in the computer security, that whether a software product or services combine the security information and also managing the security event. But this is just a very high level. But what's the under the hood? The under the hood, what's the core services that powers the SIEM? From the definition itself, we can see it handles all the security information, or we can equivalent say the security data. So the core of the SIEM is a very strong and a powerful search engine or data handling or data processing engine that to be able to store and process as well as give you the capability to gain some insights, to exploring the data and get the information you will need to fulfill your requirements in here. That will be increase your security posture, finding any security vulnerabilities in your environment. This is really, really the core of the purpose of the SIEM. So here at AWS, we think, yep, you may see we don't have a service or product called AWS SIEM. So that's a real life things. The customer asking me, do you have AWS SIEM? I cannot, if you type the SIEM in the manager console, it doesn't populate anything, right? So
Yeah,
let's
we would never name it SIEM anyway. We would name it something weird.
Yeah, guard duties, security hub. But for the guard duty security hub, by the name, you will at least understand what it used for, security hub and all of this. But we don't literally have a product or service called SIEM. But where is the SIEM? We do have a SIEM. Where is the SIEM? As I just mentioned, the SIEM is powered by a strong and powerful search engine, the full text search engine. Do we have it? Yes, we do. We have the most awesome, most advanced search engine, which is our AWS OpenSearch, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can leveraging the search capability of OpenSearch. So our our SIEM solution is based on our OpenSearch capability, which is the most advanced, the most depth search engine that's powered by machine learning. Yep.
Yeah, well, there's also Elasticsearch
Yes.
as a product out there where it could be used to replace OpenSearch if that is already part of your stack and you're not using it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, all of our talk today is on OpenSearch, but if you are familiar with Elasticsearch, OpenSearch, OpenSearch definitely is the open source version. So what is the core SIEM capabilities? We have already touched on it. Needs to be able to doing the data aggregations. The core of the SIEM is just handling all of these operational data, security data. Events are also represented as a data, and this because it's from different sources, we need to have the capability to correlation and also based on the alerts and also the dashboard to visualize it, and it should also help you to generate your compliance data because it's all related to security and the compliance. Of course, one of the key things will impact the commercial implementation of a SIEM is always the cost. So having a very well-defined and granular control of your data retention period and the retention policy to be able to protect the data as well as give you the right level of access at the right time is also very important. So in the journey roadmap, I will talk about one of the experience I learned from previously implementation as an on-premises SIEM versus what you can do in the cloud native way. What's the cost going to look like? Well, we're seeing a lot of cost is happening, be invested on the on-premises storage devices. The software license could be maybe relatively coverable, but the storage will be going to the linear-based increase, and you store everything on hot tier on your SAN sitting in your data center. And you're provisioning that same devices for the next maybe 10 years because you are foreseeing that same solutions can be sitting in your environment for minimum 5 years. And you plan for double that time and everything is invested at a hot tier. So what's the cost going to look like? So that's a lot of considerations and the commercial things and the roadblocks sometimes for implemented SIEM on an on-premises age. So we will talk about that later.
And all of those of like points listed out there are like complex by themselves. Like data aggregation and correlation are insanely difficult to do. And then you get into the human aspect around alerting and dashboarding, because I've definitely in the past had a system that just alerted pretty much non-stop for the most mundane things, and there's no prioritization of it. So eventually you just just right click, send rule, send to a folder into Outlook or to Slack channel, just mute it and be like, it's just noise, and like you become desensitized to it, which is it's quite interesting how the technological and human aspect of it is quite important.
Yes, of course. The technology itself empowers the human capability that the security team and the security analysts to be able to do more and even the higher level activities instead of responding to these alerts and double check whether it's a false positive, do all the manual correlation using some correlations IDs. So nowadays, the modern SIEM solutions tend to help the customer to do all of these data aggregation, support the data parser native ingestion of the data seamlessly into the repository, and you can search, you can do the dashboard visualization straight away after data being ingested. You don't need to do any data processing. So all of these just enables the team to be able to go beyond, go above and beyond the incident or the event management, but to do more proactive exploring and also the threat modeling, and do a lot of hypothesis verification of your current security holes or possible vulnerabilities. So we will cover that transition or the journey in the second part as a adoption journey. So stay tuned, be with us, and yeah, enjoy lunch at the same time to watch our trick session. And also, as just a point, the last foremost thing is doing all the forensic analysis. That's the most advanced things that we will do to do the proactive searching or exploring or hypothesis testing in thousands, hundreds, tons of data, maybe few gigabyte or few terabyte of security event and security data. Think about if you have hundreds of AWS account and you got hybrid environment, your data ingestion at the end will be huge. So all of these things come up with a native SIEM solutions that should be covered. So what that on an AWS environment, as I just mentioned, that we build our SIEM solution on our AWS Amazon Open Search Engine, which is really powerful, serverless, and also a fully managed open source search engine by all of our surrounding services like AWS Lambda S3 bucket, which can be used as a centralized log repository. But the good thing is you have but you have different tiers of archiving your data that will definitely cover all of the archiving strategies and the retention policies, and that's more secured. So this is the high level architecture. Once we implemented that SIEM solution from the library, it will spin up these stacks in our current environment. Cool. Casey, have you had a chance to ever implement that before with some of your experience, or you found
So
that yeah?
I've done parts of it in my old company before moving to AWS. I do look after a lot of, or I'm in the S&P segment, so there are quite a few large S&Ps within that, but I personally haven't really been involved in the full end-to-end of SIEM. I've definitely helped out and implemented components of it, normally around setting up the security hub, guard duty, making sure they reduce the noise and they set appropriate alerting. That is generally where I have, and also some dashboarding as well. But I won't say I've done the full end-to-end of it.
Right. Cool. So you can see here from the left is our data aggregation, ingestion data points as natively integrated with AWS. Even some real-time data will be ingested through Kinesis all the way through to the S3 bucket. And you can also export, import from your legacy data point and create a S3 ingestion bucket, and then loaded everything into your centralized S3 bucket, and you can have all these retention policies, archiving policies, security all around our S3 bucket. You can use all of these things to manage, control, secure your data. As the core, the open search services create the search domains. It aggregate these data, put timestamps, and also enables the capability for indexing, correlations, do it systematically for you. And we also build a out-of-box dashboard experience for you as well, so you don't need to muck around all of these visualization, bar chart, pie chart by yourself. You can deploy the solutions and start to have the I'll say basic out-of-the-box experience for your potential guard duty threat, and start to visualize your operational dashboard, put it on your big monitor, and you are ready to go. Of course, as an incident management, the notification is also important. You need to be visible. You need to be aware of any security behavior or any security vulnerability or even any threat that's coming to your perimeter. So the we leveraging the SNS simple notification services to notify the security users, even the end users via different way, email, text message, voice calls. You can configure it by yourself. It's fully configurable. So overall, it covers all the necessary, all the core capability I just mentioned in the previous slide. That cover the data aggregation, correlation, alert, monitoring, dashboard, visualization, and the open search engine can enables you to do a proactive threat hunting as well. So in the demo session next, we'll show you how the open search SIEM solution on AWS looks like. Let's start our demo now.
There you go.
Thank you, Kathy. Here I've created the basic data ingestion by enable the guard duties. In my environment, it's already been running for a few days, and definitely I manually create some vulnerabilities and malicious IP callers here and there, try to mimic the behavior of a hacker's attack. Here, what we can see is the landing page of the OpenSearch. To have that, we first of all, usually we will go to the dashboard. As I just mentioned, we have a lot of the built-in dashboard for your security topics. One of it is the guard duty high-level summary. You can just easily go to that dashboard. It will give you all the high-level statistics based on the type it identified. There are like here is the 36 EC2 findings that are relevant to the EC2 and IAM, which is very critical. We need to protect our identity. That's very, very crucial, as well as the severity, the threat severity of guard duty that identified. 55.8 in the last 30 days is really high because I just opened it for a few days, and it also will break it down to the well-known threat purpose or threat type and the threat families. You can see most of the threat is coming from unauthorized access. Obviously, it's some malicious connections is trying to guesstimate my password, username, and access keys. You can also, it's a very interactive dashboard. You can drill down to what is unauthorized and break down into threat family. So you don't necessarily need to be able to a expert of any of the guard duties or the log exports, and you don't need to do anything. Building these dashboard, these pie charts, the system already have that for you, and it's drillable and also tells you what's the source of the IP and where it comes from, as well as some potential malware name it can be identified. So this is the visualized dashboard that we build for you out of the box. And you can also do a drill by yourself, or we call it discovery by yourself, using the OpenSearch search engine. That, for example, here you can change your log into your AWS guard duty log category to narrow down a little bit. And also in here, I'm enabled the S3 VPC flow logs. You can also search your VPC flow logs. And here I would just filter by rule ID, everything around IAM users. I would just pull it up, and you can see there are 71 events related to IAM. Most of them is related to the unauthorized. I can just finally further refine my query. What's the user ID?
Live demo problems.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Murphy's law of the demo. And you can see you can start further exploring the unauthorized access. You can aggregate this with different charts. This is where we can do a proactive search of everything. And also here you can switch gear a little bit if you want to see the VPC flow logs. You can get everything, remove that filter engine. And this is pretty much the VPC flow log that you can get, and you can build your query on top of that. Because of the open search engine has a strong native integration with SageMaker machine learning model. So you can also build your proactive machine learning, security, threat modeling, or security hunting notebook from the SageMaker Studio, and proactively finding or digging or data mining these data based on your understanding and of your application and your environment to find out all the security vulnerables and potential threats in the back, and utilize the notification services to notify the operations team with all of these finding in a timely manner. So this is pretty much what you can do, but OpenSearch definitely can do more than that. It's just to give everybody a peek of what our AWS OpenSearch SIEM solution looks like. Okay, let's go back to talk about the next thing is all about a journey. So once you have your OpenSearch stack being provisioned, what are you gonna do? Is that the end of everything? So we have the SIEM, we are ready to go. That's awesome. We protect it, or is that something we would like to see? We got further improvement with the SIEM. How do you use that? Yep, let's go back to our presentation and let's start from there. Thanks, Casey. So what is a typical adoption journey or initial implementation look like? At the very beginning, this is a very real life customer use cases. We help the customer to implement it in my previous experience. The customer initially say, "Yeah, I just want to try out doing proof concept with few data sources, maybe just a few EC2 instances, and also plus some network appliance. It's a single search domain. I want it to be small, manageable, cost efficiency. It creates millions of events in a day, and also." Because we enables everything, we say, oh yeah, we want to have the visibility of everything, what's happening in our environment. The alert system works very well. It generates more than thousands of alerts, just hammers all the security analysts mailboxes, and also their ticketing system as well. There are hundreds of incidents being generated because everybody diligently look at these alerts and trying to find out what's the security holes and the potential threatening of that customer. But even with this, they see there the cost optimization, the cost efficiency of having a cloud native SIEM, because they only ingested, for example, 500 gig of data every day. You don't need to invest like a 30 or 100 terabyte of SAN sitting in your in your hosted environment, and everything is hot, right? So what you do is you gradually ingest these information. Your cost can be gradually grow with that. Your initial invest is very minimal. It's very good investment model. So having the capex being traded for the opex, and also as a long run, you have the right archive mechanism. You just move your data from S3 bucket to the infrequent access, as well as at the same time, you can archive a relatively long-term data to the glaciers for a longer term archiving. So all of these things, we implemented that in the proof of concept. With 3 months of the data, the customers start to realize some real benefit from there. And they got a better visibility of all of these data sources they ingested. And they will say, oh, okay, so I know there is 100 incidents. Something is relatively low risk about the patching, and sometimes it's all about the malicious or the internal malware attack. So yeah, this is the good thing. So most of the time, people will be happy. Yes, I'm very happy with that. I have the visibility. I know all of these things. What they do next, they want to say, oh, can I scale up? Can I scale up? Can I scale it to hundreds of data sources? Can I scale up to my entire hybrid environment, including on-premises and my routers, my SaaS applications, right? You got a lot of shadow SaaS in some modern organizations. Someone will start up a job box and start uploading the working files, and all of these things will happen. Um, and also like a ransomware attack, I want to monitoring all of our endpoint behavior. I want to ingest in all of these data and some semi-structured data, which is my application log. My application generates some customized log. It's a semi-structured. Maybe it's a JSON. Maybe sometimes it's in XML, CSV file. I want everything in. I want more visibility. I want to know whether I'm secured, where I am doing good or not. Yes. So at that problem comes at that particular point. How can
And
we make? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I wish I had that earlier, because I just realized that I spelled efficient wrong in the title, so I'm gonna have to fix that post stream.
All right.
So there
Yeah.
we go. Visibility would have been great there, and maybe a little bit of spell checker. But
Yes. Yes.
not
All
the
good.
first
All
time I
good.
made that. At least I didn't misspell an AWS service this time. That was even more embarrassing.
Yeah, we won't see you next day. All right. Okay, let's back to the user story. Now it's the time. Implement in the proof concept for the first 3 months. We always say it's not a end of your SIEM implementation. It's just a very beginning of your SIEM implementation. What it will help us is to able to scale up your entire environment. How do we scale it up? How do we refine? How do we fine tune all of these configurations, all these knobs, all of these alerts? Is more important that it drives the end success of the SIEM adoption, the SIEM implementation. Once you start to scale up for more than hundreds of data sources, you got your endpoint, your router, your everything, your hybrid environment, your AWS environment, hybrid environment, you will start seeing, yes, maybe one of my search domain are not able to handle, and you got your SOC team start growing. They got very different roles and the responsibility. They are not one man controls all. You need to separate the responsibility. Security, you probably start to growing your open search domain into different topics. You start to splitting the domains into different aspects and different business units, even different geographical locations. And now you see there are billions of events being ingested instead of thousands and millions of events being ingested into your environment. Will that being cost efficient? The answer is yes. Why that? Because we already aware of the data archiving strategies. We already built our matured security or these incident handling procedures. Uh, in the next slide, I will show, next few slides, I will show what's the tiering mechanism, the tiering model of handle different incidents and events. So we don't need 3 months of a retention period, only 24 hours and maybe 42 days of data in the very hot tier is necessary for us to do the security analysis as well as doing the I would say high severity incident fix or remediations. All the other data, archiving data, as well, sitting in the relatively warm and cold tier, waiting for us to be able to retrieve this data for just a proactive threat hunting in a cost-effective way, and then the storage archive locations. And your alert still will remain small. It's only got hundreds of alerts. Why is that? Because we're refining the automatically handling or response mechanism by let the system do the work instead of your security analyst needs to be aware, because a lot of the alerts being generated and also automatically remediated straight away after the security event happens. So this scale up skill is very important, leveraging the automations to be able to handle all of these routine or well-known the security incident is very, very crucial for you to scale up your entire implementation. Otherwise, the security analyst will just be muck around all day long to respond to all of these alerts, make sure whether it's a false positive or something else. Your actual security incident will be very minimal, less than 100, because that's the real high exposure, high visibility, truly harmful incident that you will need your security analyst to be able to proactively search your entire your entire threat chains, and to be able to modeling that and find the root cause of it, and put on a hot fix or stop that vulnerable, and also update the system as well. So a lot of these things, even out of the hundreds incidents, most of them can be the positive, because your system has become more targeted. You're only targeting these high and also high threat level, high risk level of security incidents, and all of these routine job has been handled by the automation things. So this is the whole journey what we are doing with the customer. You scale up, but you shouldn't see the scale up of your incident and alerts, because leveraging the system and leveraging the automation to be able to make the entire scene scalable, and also maintain your visibility of your system is very important. It won't give you any negative impact, because every time, sometimes we see when the system start to scale up, the impact will be quite a negative, because a lot of false positive, lot of incidents, and end up is people start saying, yeah, I don't want to use this system anymore, I'm just receiving spam. So either way, I just block everything, just stop all of these alerts. I know these are false positive. I just block everything instead of handling. So these are the very negative impact. We want the impact to be positive. We're leveraging the automation things to be able to helping us to create these automated remediation tasks when it grows up. Because the team is growing, mature, you will need to able to identify which one has able to be handled by the automation. So invest on automation and build the team capability to be able to write or design these automation are very important to scale up your SIEM implementation in here. Okay, so this is what a typical journey look like. And also along that journey, there are some misunderstanding of something. Uh, in some cases, we see the machine learning is a bullet point, is a silver bullet, it's a terminator. It can help you to solve every problem, because it's a machine learning. The machine become much smarter and it can handle a lot of more. But actually, the machine learning is just like this. It's just in a very premature stage. What it can only do is helping you to identify the patterns, the threat pattern at as early as possible, instead of being a human to read any thousands, hundreds, millions of logs and also identify the patterns from there. Sometimes it's not doable by just a human reading this amount of the data. So this is the machine learning model can be enabled, can be powered to make a successful SIEM. It's not a silver bullet. They're not saying, yeah, machine is smart enough to install the patch automatically by proactively saying, yeah, this is something you should do, and I will do it for you. It's not like a Java. It's not that smart enough. So you still need to know what's the pros and what's the cons, when to leveraging machine learning. That's a good way for doing the threat modeling, proactive threat hunting, but it won't do all of sometimes even the basic things for you. So
Although I did hear some interesting news on that front.
yeah.
Apparently, they are doing lab-grown neurons and combining them with silicon chips to try to get like a more natural learning, so to speak. That's very interesting. It's probably very early days and completely overblown, but I just think that's kind of interesting. So machine learning is a space that's going to probably keep on growing. It's going to be very interesting.
Yes, of course. We never neglect the power of machine learning that can help us to improve that security, I would say visibility and the response time significantly. Traditionally, we're just using a regular search queries to continuous query all of these things. But within the machine learning, we can have a very low response time for any vulnerability or potential threat. This will significantly increase our response time, with the win the time for security team to action on some high risk a high risk event. That's really crucial. On the end, the security team also, the human still plays the core, the central, the most important role in the entire end-to-end security team. Not just the machine will take over the human power to do all of these things. Proactive handling, threat modeling, machine learning still cannot do these things. These are the more advanced proactive things that as a security expert that will create value for the organizations to make the environment more secured and more bulletproof. Okay, so that's the tiered model that what we will recommend, that we start having at a very lower bottom, leveraging the system, leveraging the automation to remediate it immediately with some well-known attacks, and also doing the automated investigations, find out some basic patterns. For example, the password error password for 5 times. This is the obvious issues that you need to use your automation to address that immediately, right? Send an email, block that account temporarily. You don't necessarily need to wait a security analyst to click that button and tick that disable box. You just go and do it straight away. So with the maturity, with all of these visibility from the SIEM, you are able to do that automatically, very confidently. So sometimes the customer tells me, oh, they are not confident to do things automatically because they are very reluctant to say, am I just doing that wrong? If I just block that account automatically, will that be a normal user behavior? And that, for example, my CEO just forgot his password and typed it 5 times, right? And then I blocked my CEO's username, user account. That was so embarrassing. No, it won't happen that way, because other than just automatically blocking your account, you have a whole lot of other security activities or security mechanism you can use to protect CEO's account before he hit that 5 marks of time. So the security is a systematic thing. The SIEM can only do one thing, is to automate and to give you the visibility of security incident. To prevent these, I would say, user behavior, you have other mechanism, your identity protection policy, your IAM policies, and all of these things should be set into the place, working together with the SIEM. Then you will be very confident to say, yeah, anyone type the password wrong like 10 times or 5 times, just block it straight away, and or isolate that account and notify the system engineer and do further actions. So once you have all of these high-speed response for your automating tier, and you notice that moving up, there are tier 1, which is all your hot incident, that is your default alert paths, that most well-known or either user-reported malicious, saying, yeah, seems like I received an email that can be a phishing email. I clicked it accidentally. Can you just do it? Yes, there are some procedures or some automations I can straight away invoke that can help you to block this account from the findings of the SIEM, because you can use the correlation, use the username and the password, use the user credentials to search how many systems that particular identity, for example, the malicious account or the phished account or hacked account has already accessed. Then you can start to isolate these systems in a relatively quick response time. Now, these are the power of the SIEM that can give you, because without SIEM, you can just go through your system one by one. You don't have the visibility how many systems that particular that a compromised account has already accessed. So with the SIEM, you have all the data in one place. You can just do things fairly quickly. So with all of these regular, also the default alert paths being addressed, you will probably move to the more advanced proactive analytics or remediation actions from the security team to protect your high-value asset. For example, your user data, for example, your IPs, your intellectual properties, as well as any of your critical endpoints, like your routers, your network devices, and all of these things. And also we can move up to the highest level is to do most proactive threat hunting, threat modeling, different system correlations, even expand that modeling into your upstream upstream vendors and your downstream users to give you the end-to-end protection of your entire environment. So these are the tiered models that drives the success of your theme implementation along the road. Your theme is just the tools to enable this tiered modeling and enables the SOC team to be able to hand it over the tier one and automation tier to the system instead of doing all of these things by themselves and then move up to this ladder to handling more advanced tier two and tier three proactive work, right? So this is very, very crucial for as a reference tiered model for SIEM implementation. And yeah, as we are reaching out from the end of the slides, or just to point out a few key takeaways. The first of all, data is still the king. Cache is king. Data is the new king. So all of the SIEM implementation is around your data, is around your security data, even your operational data, your web logs, and all of these things. Having a end-to-end organizational level data strategy to cover these transactions, user experience, and also this operational data is very important. You will know how the data being handled, secured in a secured way, encrypted, the costs associated with data, archiving policies. That's what system is used to handle this data. It's very, very important because data is the core, the center asset of this, for example, specifically the SIEM implementation. And also, please do invest heavily in automation. The KPIs, the indicators, the dashboard only becomes meaningful when action is taken. So taking the action either using automation or transitionally used a manual way will create more business values than just having these workbooks, having these dashboards, or having these KPIs or incident being tracked and recorded and alert being raised. And alert being raised but neglected is burning the fortune of the organization. So you need to take action on the invest on automation. And it also will build the team to moving up to the tier to do more proactive, high value creation tasks in the future. And also, machine learning is not a silver bullet. So understand what machine learning can do and its limitation. It's very, very important as well. You need to able to introduce the machine learning capability at the right timing to do the right thing. It's not machine learning is one size fits one thing fit all. And also you need to, because machine learning is definitely a costly resource. It needs time to developer, it needs time to build the notebook, train the models, and doing a lot of like offline threat modeling things and build your models. These are very costly resources. Think it carefully when you do need to do the machine learning, and your organization should be mature enough to help you to implement the model, train the model, deploy the model, and also continuously improve the model. It's not a one-off investment because the model needs to be retrained with a more accurate data, and you're doing a lot of manual labeling in the end, and you do further down the track, you can do automated labeling and make your data points more accurate and retrain your model. So all of these things need investment and a higher maturity level of the security organizations, given the entire organizations. So these are the three, I would say, key takeaways. I hopefully after this session, so everyone will start to at least practice something in your day-to-day job and get some insights from there.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Zen, for all of that. And also thank you for taking time out of your day for sharing your insights and your knowledge with our viewers. If anyone has any questions, now is their time to ask before we disappear. So yeah, definitely thank you. And with that, so how did you find it? How did you find the first stream? I believe this is your first time.
Yes, I think it's a really, really good experience for doing the live Twitch session, and definitely, I think I want to do more. That's the first thing. And I think this is another way that we can communicate our experience to the AWS wider user groups. And also, I like this kind of interaction, even with you, Casey, and we chat about all of these, our experience, our takeaways, and share our stories with the customer. That's really, really good experience for me. Yeah, looking forward to the next session.
Awesome. And as I mentioned, we should be airing weekly up into the December 15th. I believe that is our last show. Yes, it is. And there might be, and I believe we won't be doing a show during Field Days, which is the largest agricultural event in the Southern Hemisphere, where it's hosted out of Hamilton, New Zealand. And I believe that is at the same time as reInvent. So because also reInvent's going, we won't also be doing a show as well. So as you kind of lines up pretty well. And that is the week of the 28th. That is reInvent, and that is also Field Days. So yeah, we won't also be doing a show then. For now, thank you everyone for coming along and listening to the show. Thank you, Zen, so much for taking time of your day. And with that, I will say see ya and enjoy your weekend. And if you don't tune in before the end the new year, have a good Christmas. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Casey.